Okay, Beatrice, just looking at your May 20th post analysis. Okay, I've already gone through it just to make sure that, if I go through it, I can make my video shorter. I won't have to like watch it live and then commentary on it. But I've already gone through it, so there's a couple of things that stick out that I think it's worth pointing out. So let me go through a little piece, some pieces of it. Okay,
Hello, Naveen. Good morning. I'm going
morning.
to go over my morning research. I found that USD is very interesting to me this morning. As you can see here, I see USD on Aussie USD as being quite overextended on the buyer side. So I'm thinking that its USD strength should kick in here.
Okay, so that notion of I think USD strength should kick in because it's gone up too high, um, that's a guess. I would say like it's incorrect to think that way, because the flow is still up. I can get it if it's a range, and then you're trying to say that okay, it ended towards the top of the range, so therefore we sell. Like that's a whole different thing. But by just coming to a conclusion, by looking at this and saying because he's gone up X amount of times, um, the move is dead. That's risky. Where we look for moves to die out are generally in pullbacks, right? So if this is a up move, for example, then a pullback into it is like okay, and there whenever he dies, we'll hit the buy. But if a move is ongoing, we shouldn't be looking at it as it's one push, two push, three push, four push, and then therefore he must roll over. It's harder to do that, especially in a trending. If you start getting a trend out of it, because then it'll look like it has 10 pushes in it, right? So there is a better way to do that. I wanted to point it out to you as quickly as possible. So notice in all these buys that are happening, look at this. So where your mouse is where your crosshair line goes, dotted line up, right? Notice that these are all buyers. Okay, you got volume supporting that too. Over here, you had sellers previously. Okay, you have volume right in this area. Okay, then nothing, 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 and then volume started increasing, prices went up. Volume started increasing, prices went up. Volume increased more during it, prices kept going up. Then nothing happened for a while. Okay, volume came in again on the buy side, a little bit on the sell side, sell side, sell side, sell side, volume back on the buy side. You see, this volume right here is back on the buy side again. So far, it's telling me buyers keep hitting it. Okay, that's fine. Then it starts pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, pulling back, gets down to this area here, which is that green bar, then the next green bar, then the next green bar, which means these three, one, two, and three, buyers hit it again. Okay, all right, and then he starts rolling over and he starts coming down, and the day ends. The day goes into the next day. He gets up there, pulls back into that SNR, starts pulling back down. Red bar, and then green bar. These two red bars before the green bar comes out, notice that high volume. It's on that last red bar. And since then, prices shot up, and now it's looking like it's going outside that range. You see, a lot of these indications are telling you it's the buyer doing it every step of the way. However, if this is a range, obviously I'm also aware that that's a little puny little breakout that he's doing there, right? But maybe he's not done. He still has to keep going, and then I can look at the whole and be like, wow, that's a huge breakout. But he's not done yet. So that's a possibility, right? So far from what I see here, without even judging it, I can just look at it at what's it telling me. We do the volume analysis, right? It's like, okay, I get it. It's all buying for now. I don't see any sellers.
The buyers are they've been going since this area right here. New Zealand USD, same story. It's
Yep. And yeah, same story. Right here is where that seller high volume at the end of that movement down, which was supposed to be resistance as you've drawn, right? So it's supposed to crash down. In fact, volume kicked in and bam, it went up and it broke that resistance. Okay, so buyer stepped in. Buyer stepped in.
going, and it's getting to a very, I mean, from the beginning of the virus is pretty far. So saying USD strength may, but strength could kick in. USD CAD is the one that I'm watching today. The sellers have been coming down, as you can see, sellers, sellers, sellers.
Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So this one, yes, there is a a bunch of sellers in here. We see some volume midway. Okay, so it's part of that down move. Fair enough. Gets down to here. Buyers kick in a little bit. No volume on them. Sellers are coming in. Cluster of volume raising up in this area. Then sellers come in again and puts in a high volume towards the bottom right there. Okay, like it's a pretty high volume. It's not a climax. It's not really high volume, but it puts in a higher volume than the average in the
sellers.
Well, it's the highest of the day. Sorry, so there is volume there. Then it puts in volume for the buyers. Buyers kick in. Now that buyers kick in, what happened to that seller towards the bottom? Well, he got overthrown as well, and buyers kick in. The interesting part is when that came in, we went through this resistance. Okay, so that's very interesting. So there's a buyer who bought this, right? So now he's getting a pullback. He's getting a pullback again. And this is now a secondary attempt. If this buy performs, it needs to hold. Okay? If this buy performs, it needs to hold. If it does not hold, there's a problem. So for example, if this is a buy right here, then he comes down the secondary time and he tries to buy again. If that buy pushes it up, then that SNR that is sitting above needs to hold. Otherwise, don't expect it, okay, now come give me a better price, and then like the expectation of, okay, now at the third attempt, you should work now. In fact, you should be thinking, why didn't it work the first couple of times? Right now is already a concern of, why didn't he take off from this price? And then as you mentioned in the video, are we waiting for oil? Okay, that's a possibility. So here he's come down here for a secondary attempt, and you're trying to see, is this a test of that? Okay, or are we actually smashing the sells from here, which we don't see so far, and the high volumes kicking in towards the bottom? Yeah, and you picked up on that too, right? You were seeing some high volumes pick up on here as well. So you are seeing that this price is coming down, but it's not the sellers doing it. It's just buyers letting go of the gas a bit, right?
These extreme areas, sellers are slowing down.
Okay, so now we're on the 15 minutes, right? The time frames changed a little bit. And we had that initial attempt on the 60 from here where we said, wow, look at those buyers, bam. And then are we testing back to it? So there was an initial test there, no higher high. Then it's coming in deep. Now that it's coming in deep, this entire cluster of volume is starting to stack up. But we saw that there was no volumes being hit on the way down. In fact, volume is starting to pick up in this lower end area. Okay, because now we're on the 15, so we're looking at it in chunks. And then you also notice this red one that shot up. It's like, okay. But up until this point, you got seller, pullback, seller, pullback, seller, pullback, seller. Okay, so there is a slowdown. There is a momentum rhythm to it. There is a piece of it came down once, stopped, came down again as a whole. So this is stronger. Okay. So if we buy, we know our initial area of problematic area is here, which you were targeting, but this can go a lot more. This can go a lot more, right? That's the possibility. So having that said, now up until this point, notice how all the candlestick designs are. They're all pointed still for sellers. They're all wicks on top, right? Plus, if you let it react from here and then you hit the buy, you're actually hitting the buys right at resistance. So you have to be a little bit careful on getting in. Once you get that conviction, so here's a rule of thumb. Don't let the price react, price move and then you react to it. If you do that for either entry or exit, you will be late to the game always. If you react to the price, then you're very late as is to enter. And if the prices are going in your favor, in your favor, in your favor, and then it reacts and then you close, well, that was a loss of 50% or 20 or 30 or 40%. So do your actions before the market tells you so. Okay? All right. But as careful as possible, obviously.
And at the end, they came down pretty hard on the last push into an area that has been holding for a while. So I'm thinking about entering here. I'll be back to let you know. But the high volume spike on the last seller really got me interested. But my only concern is that we have trying to make a decision. I had to go ahead and enter a position.
Okay, so you got that price up there. Notice that price. Notice how this line right now, where the current price is right at resistance. I can feel that pain that you must be feeling of sitting through that a little bit. It's normal. It happens, right? Like this happens at times. Okay, so let's keep going. Up until this point, I also noticed a bit on the psychology side of things, where you were saying news is coming out, I'm not sure what to do. Okay, so there was a little bit of uncertainty there, and you were like, I'm gonna wait for it. Then a couple seconds later, okay, I'm in the trade. All right, and then a couple seconds later, when the candle turned a little bit red, maybe I entered too early. You see what I mean? You're getting thrown as a roller coaster, left and up and down, left and right, because of that initial entry was not with confidence. It was with the idea of maybe I'm too early, but then the actions don't represent that same thought process. That's why the back and forth confusion of is this right? Is this not right? Is this right? Is this not right? Then at the end, when you make the trade and the trade works, you will always have this regret feeling of, yeah, but I didn't know. And if you don't know, can we do it again? And then can we do it again with size, right? So we got to get this built up a little bit, this little thought process.
And my stops are here. I entered here. I'm aiming for these areas up here,
Yeah,
or
that's a
maybe
great
higher.
area.
I'll keep you updated as the trade is going, but the volume is what really got me into this trade, and the fact so far. But I'm
Okay, so it's reacting off of this area, but this time you got a green bar. It's like first time your candlestick, you gave you a green bar. Now let's get away from that area so we can get an entry in, right? So where you have your black line, any reaction off of that area is good to go. It's telling you it's turning.
watching this very closely because of the news that's coming out here in a few minutes. This thing could spike me up. We haven't done much movement at all. Hey Naveen, this was a very calculated risk, but it's
Okay, so now the news has come out, the trade's working your way. Now instead of focusing like as much as we can on to the trade, don't forget a lot of volume was put into here. Like I can understand, yeah, the news is saying one thing, but this is money. Like this is where the money is headed. Like it's putting in signs of sort of like follow the money, right? This money is telling you what's actually happening. The news came out, you're at support, the money's coming out. So let me have a look at that news that you were looking at also. Okay, let me go to investing.com, take a look at that real quick. This was yesterday, and we have oil inventory. So what do we have? So we had 3 million was previous. They were expecting it to be more demand, and then they got a little bit even more demand. So that means good news for oil. Good news for oil means strong strength for Canadian dollar, right? All of these signs are there. Okay. Oh, sorry. Strength for Canadian dollar. Okay. Now this chart doesn't represent that. So that idea of, okay, it's taking off from this area, and if that strength for Canadian dollar kicks in, right? Okay, because the oil news was good, and then somewhere in here you showed an oil chart as well. Give me a second, let me get that up here. Okay, here we go. Cool.
on if I could bring.
Okay, so when we're looking at this oil chart, you had an aggressive up move, a break out of this area, and then it's coming down aggressively as well. So now you got to come to a conclusion of, would you say this is a range breakout? If so, is that the top of the range, or are these the top of your ranges here because it got tighter, the consolidation, and then therefore this break is what, 100% of that range, 50% less? You can make that call on how you want to read that. So will it hold and react and go back up, or is oil going to actually turn around and say that's just a faker, I was just kidding, and it's going to come back down and crash on you, which will say oil is not strong. So if we go with the news, oil is strong, it's going to probably react off this SNR area and rebound, right? And if that's the case, sorry, let me take it back a little bit. And if that's the case, if it's going to rebound and then it's going to get strong again, you need to start spotting areas of where you're going to get a reactionary area from here as well, in case Canadian dollar gets strong. Okay, so here we go.
So I'm going to let it finish, see where it goes, and see what happens to the next candle. I am also keeping an eye on, if I could bring the
okay. So one of the things I'm seeing,
but I'll keep an eye on both.
Here we go. You see this down move that was coming down for the longest time? For the sell to resume, it's got to refresh. Just like you said, everything leading up to it. He's at support. Volume's picking up. The last push down was ultra aggressive. So let him refresh before going back down if he wants to go for Canadian dollar strength, right? So where would it refresh from? What's the ideal spot? So now, instead of you saying, I want to wait for the price to go all the way to the top of the range, you now know mid-range or somewhere even before that, you can actually take action. You can actually take action. You see? So this time, you're like, structure takes the back seat. I know what is actually happening, and therefore I can adjust my game plan. Okay?
Them at the same time and let you know how it's going, but so far all I did is move my stops closer and keeping even closer eye on this.
Yeah, the money management has been great so far. I'm glad you did that part.
Be back soon. Hey Naveen, just a quick update.
Okay, so this one, the profit extraction was on a reaction off of this area, right? So I remember you put a black line in here just slightly after. There it is. Nope, not yet. Yeah, there we go. So you remove 50% in there. Notice you didn't take it off of here because as it was going up, obviously the mind will think, oh, if it's going, let it go. Why not? But only when it reacts is when we come to our senses of like, oh, the news is saying CAD is strong. I'm guessing that's why it's doing that. You see, we always miss out on this little piece, and that cost you 50% of your profits it halved it basically. So you were in profit from here all the way up to there at that resistance. Once it reacted, you lost half of that profit. You see, just this little tweak of, okay, if you've decided what's going to be done, where are you going to do it from? Done. Like, you got to get firm on that. So you don't wipe away those profits during your trade management. Okay, let's go deeper.
Come down and then this come up to this area. I decided to go ahead and take 50% off of here and keep a close eye on this because this could really work, but it could turn around and slam down because.
Yeah. So even the language, right? It's still vague on you're unsure on what should be done at this point. That's what's causing the hiccups based on your actions, right? It's that language is like I'm not certain if it's gonna go up or if it's gonna go down. So there's that little uncertainty in this spot because the news came out and it's supposed to go down, and the confusion is why is it going up? So to answer it at this point is it's because it needs to refresh before it goes down, and that's normal. So you can keep that for next time when that happens. It happens sometimes. So keeping all of this stuff in mind, also remember this SNR broke. Okay, this SNR is broken now. He's on its way up. The structure, this downward monster, is starting to break.
The fact of the way oil is acting and the fact that the news is in favor of CAD. So for those reasons, I banked some profits here and we'll keep an eye on it as it goes. I'll be back to update you. Hey Naveen, just quick update. I saw these sellers coming in with volume and the fact that crude, I was expecting CAD to become strong because of the news. I got out at break even for the rest of the 50%, so I got 50%.
I'm actually very glad you got out the remaining of this position. It's better to go to be flat in the trade when there's uncertainties around. That's good. It's good trade management on this.
Up here and the rest of the 50% over here because I think this is going for a sell because of CAD strength due to the fundamentals. So looking for a different trade. That was my first trade. I'll be back soon. Hey Naveen, this is the update of how the trade worked out. It ended up going up to the area, to an area where I thought it might slow down. It's still going up. So I just wanted to wrap up this and show you how the trade ended up working. I didn't end up entering any other trade.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of your video. So price shot up to the area that you were expecting it to go to. So here's a couple of things. When you spotted this area, and then if you were aware of the news that it's coming up, then you have to make a call on that, saying what happens if I'm in the trade and the news is in my favor? What happens if I'm in the trade already and the news is against me? And then the third question, should I even trade before the news comes out? So these are the things you can ask yourself to get firm on. Now, what is the right answer? I'll leave that to you. But whatever the answer is, it needs to be decided before getting in. Okay, it needs to be decided before getting in. And you want to keep that consistent as much as you can. Okay, all right, so let's have a look at the USD CAD finally on the chart. So let's bring it up. Okay, where are we here? This is the spot. There we go. That's the spot for your exit. This is the 60 minutes. Sorry, I'm using darker charts. It's 1:40 a.m. my time here, so I do want to go to sleep after this, so I don't want to have the white charts out. Okay, so this is the area where it's reacting from, right? It refreshed a little bit. Let me go down to the 15. Yeah, it just jumped all the way up to there, reacted off of that area, nice strong resistance area, and this piece can now stabilize and saying, okay, and then we can go again, kind of thing, right? So all this volume, look at that high volume just building up all across the board. Okay, so all these buyers that they were doing stuff, they've tried it the second time around. Now if it comes down for the third time, the chances are less it will hold. Okay, that's a very less chances it will hold. So don't look at this as, well, just because it's the bottom of the range, he should buy again. The story has completely changed. Yes, it's the bottom of the range. Yes, I can connect these two lines, but the story has changed. I don't think this buyer wants it anymore. In fact, if he was in, he's probably panicking and is out by now, thinking, I don't want this anymore. Okay, so a third time around, he's probably not going to stick around. All right. So hope this whole thing helps. Sorry it went up really long, but really wanted to get this out to you so you have all the details around the trade that you did today. Again, great work. You're doing great progress. Don't let anyone tell you or demoralize you. Don't even let me tell you that. Just keep going. You're at the right pace. You're learning at a very consistent rate. Keep at it. Keep at it. You're doing great. Okay. Speak to you soon. Cheers.